everybody. So, how's everybody today? Hope everybody's good. Things are getting back to normal down in Texas. At least it's warmer. Not dealing with the freezing cold anymore. Okay, so we're going to jump right into today's video. Let's get over there. There we go. Okay, so let's jump right in. Image shows school bans socially distance inside human tents. This is band practice. Look at this. Is this not the craziest freaking thing you'd ever seen? Like, why would you want your kids to take part in this? It's nuts. An image shows students at a school in Wenatchee, Washington State socially distance inside what look like human tents as they perform in a band. The picture appears to show two girls playing saxophones while trapped inside the awning-like structures while others in the background play flute. According to the article, you can't see them smiling beneath the masks, but the kids are happy to be back at school. The article quotes Wenatchee principal Eric Anderson, who celebrates the fact that the school environment has been carefully tailored to ensure that students never remove their face coverings. To me, look at this guy. Oh, this is terrible. I can't even believe that this is the world we live in, that this is a thing. Look at this. This is the new normal that they're pushing on you and your children. It's so crazy to me. Anyway, that's enough of that. It's so crazy. Okay, let's jump to the next thing. Nuts. Now, before I go on, can I just say that what is happening with all of these companies and the schools and the everything, like, they want white people to feel bad for being white. They want, like, it's not, like, feel guilty because you were white, you know? Oh my gosh, and it's just so insane that all this stuff is happening. So we're going to go over some of it, but the fact that it's being pushed onto kids, to me, is totally nuts. So, indoctrinating an entire school system in PC racism. Seattle Public Schools recently held a racially charged teacher training session that convicted U.S. schools of committing spirit murder against black kids and demanded that white teachers bankrupt their privilege in acknowledgement of their thieved inheritance. According to whistleblower documents from the session that I've reviewed, the trainers began by claiming that teachers are colonizers of the ancestral lands and traditional territories of the Puget Sound Coast Salish people. Later, the United States was built off the stolen labor of kidnapped and enslaved black people's work. The image of a black power first removed any lingering hope that the presentation might involve a modicum of nuance. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can go and check it out. It's the New York Post, indoctrinating an entire school system in PC racism. And I think it's wrong. I think it's totally wrong to do this and to push things like this. Like, you cannot make kids or people, you cannot make people feel bad because of they were born the color that they were born. Like, whether it's black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. Like, you are what you are, and that's just what it is. New York City Public School asks parents to reflect on their whiteness. So they have this scale here. The 8 white... Oh, The 8 white identities. A city public school principal is asking parents to reflect on their whiteness, passing out literature that extols white traitors who dismantle institutions, education officials confirmed to the Post on Tuesday. The woke offensive at the East Side Community School in Manhattan features a ranking list titled The 8 White Identities, which ranges from white supremacists to white abolitionists. The curriculum, written by Barner Hess, an associate professor of African American Studies at Northwestern University in Illinois, claims there is a regime of whiteness and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with whiteness are one of these, Hess writes above the 8-point list. It's about time we build an ethnography of whiteness, since white people have been the ones writing about and governing others. In between the two extreme identities of supremacists and abolitionists are such categories as white voyeurism, defined as wouldn't challenge a white supremacist, desires non-whiteness because it's interesting, and white privilege or sympathetic to a set of issues but only privately, won't speak, act in solidarity publicly because benefiting through whiteness in public. I mean, this is so stupid. Look at this. The 8 white identities. This is what they're handing out to people. The handout was accompanied by a color-coordinated meter with the red zone on the left titled White Supremacists and the green zone on the far right labeled White Abolitionists. I mean, sometimes I'm at a loss for words. A New York City Department of Education official told the Post that some parents at the school, which caters to 6th through 12th on the Lower East Side, first shared the material with staff. The principal then disseminated it to every parent as part of a series of materials meant for reflection as food for thought. I mean, I can't even. So now, I mean, it's 2021. We're dealing with all this bullshit that's pushed on us from, how should I say this? From the people in charge, we'll say. So we're dealing with all this shit that's pushed on us from the people that are in charge. And on top of trying to change your children's I mean, there's so much, but on top of trying to change your kids' genders, and on top of trying to change your kids' minds on certain things, and on top of trying to push all of this shit on you, now they want people to feel bad for being white. Now they want people to say, oh, being white is wrong. Because if you are white, you're one of these types, you fit into these categories. So isn't that exactly what they're saying has been done to minorities all of this time? They're turning around and doing the exact same thing to white people. And I don't think that's going to solve the issue. I think it's going to make things much worse. But whatever. Let me know what you guys think. I can't. All right. Blatant discrimination. CocaCola racism training asks staff to try to be less white as they claim kids are taught being white is better. Well, I am a parent. I have 4 children. Never once have I ever said that because you're white, you're better. Never, ever, ever. I don't teach my kids that way. You know, my kids don't judge people off of the color that you are. And nobody should. You know, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to say, you know, eventually kids are going to think that being white is bad. Being white is a bad thing. And it's freaking ridiculous. Like I said before, you don't judge people because of the color of their skin. You judge people by the type of people that they are. You know, like if you're an asshole and you're a douche, it doesn't matter what color you are. That's just what you are. It makes me mad. Coca-Cola employees were told in an online training to try to be less white in an effort to combat racism discrimination. Photos of Coca-Cola's online training seminar were shared on social media this week, showing slides that featured tips on how to be less white, including being less ignorant and less oppressive. Okay, so now because you're white, you're ignorant and oppressive. Do people not see what is going on here? Do people not see, holy moly. I mean, the whole world we are literally living in this upside down reality where they're coming at you saying, oh, you can't be racist, you can't do this, you can't do that against minorities. But in turn, all these companies and these things, these people, these systems are turning right around and doing the exact same thing to white people and saying, well, because you're white, you're going to be attacked. Because you're white, you need to feel guilty for being white. You need to feel guilty that you have things that other people do not have. First of all, that's not on kids at all, right? That has nothing to do with children. Second of all, every single one of us made the decision and made the choices that we made that put us where we are in life today. By choices we made, whether they were good, bad, right, or wrong. If you look at your surroundings and you look at what you have and you're not happy with it, it's because it's 99% of the time it's because of choices that you made for yourself. So stop pushing this bullshit around. And I mean, it's crazy. To be less white is to read one slide while listening things like be less arrogant, be less certain, be less defensive, be more humble. Listen, believe, break with apathy, and break with white solidarity. Another slide reads, confronting racism, understanding what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist. In the U.S. and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white. That's not true, like I just said. If you're teaching your children that they're better because they're white, then that's on you. Then you have a problem. But to all of us that are not teaching that to our kids and are teaching our kids that everybody under God was created equal, and it doesn't matter what color you are, then you shouldn't be put into categories with this nonsense. This says research shows that by age 3 to 4, children understand that it is better to be white. Never once. I've never taught my kids that, so I don't understand all this. I mean, it's just they're literally trying to freaking. I don't even know. Like it's just so mind blowing that this is happening. Well, I used to drink Coke all the time. I won't drink Coke no more. Not when they have this kind of attitude and they're pushing this kind of bullshit. Everybody needs to boycott Coke. On to the next thing. Yeah, so here, hey, another reason, it's funny. Kids, it's so funny. Schools want to tell you, okay, so schools are pushing all this agenda and all this propaganda and all this nonsense onto your kids, but they got teachers like this. They hire teachers like this, okay? Georgia substitute teacher arrested after she was caught doing this in class with kids in there, right? So wait a minute. So schools are teaching your kids that if they're white, it's not okay, and they're teaching your kids that they don't need to identify with male or female. They can be whatever they want. And they're teaching your kids all of this bullshit, trying to say, oh, well, we're trying to make a better world. And they hire people like this lady, right? I mean, do you not see what is happening? Do they not background check these people? Do they not make sure that people that they hire to teach your children are, oh, I don't know, man, you can't even say normal because this is so out there in left field that, I mean, oh my God, it's crazy to me. But yeah, substitute teacher arrested after she was caught playing with herself in class with students in the classroom. Yeah, they really care about your kids. Okay, they really care. Don't get mistaken. And I read this. I found this article the other day. I read this and I was like, I couldn't even make it all the way through it because it was the biggest piece of crap I've ever read. And this is written by a black woman. Yes, my dear, all white people are racist. I'm only going to share a portion with you so that you can see that they are attacking white people right now. They are attacking your children. They are attacking you. And I mean it's crazy. This lady in this article is literally trying to get it into your head that you are, even if you're not racist and you know you're not racist, shut the door. This lady is going to tell you that no, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You are, and you don't even know it. It just makes me mad. First, learn what racism is and what it's not. I need white people to understand that all white people are racist. Admit it, and let's move on to the business of repairing and healing the country. We can't do it without you. Yes, my dears, all white people are racist, all of them. Here's where you stop to cry, clutch your pearls, rant and rave aloud to tell me how wrong I am and to tell me not all white people. I'm doing reverse racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism. And you're ready to do tit for tat with me and every black person on the internet because you're too afraid to say this nonsense in person. Stop when I'm done. On how terrible black people are. I have fill in the blank white person savior activity here, so I know I'm not racist. I don't say the N-word. I go to church with black people, and I even go to lunch with black lady guy from my job. I have a biracial child. I date black women or / men. So she's just saying all the excuses that white people give to claim that they're not racist. I know. I've heard it all already, honey. I know. You are a product of your racist American environment. You are racist, love, but it's okay to admit it. I'm ready for you to admit it so that we can move on to bigger things. You denying the obvious stalls the long road to healing. Take a moment to sit with this new old revelation. Your racism is a product of nurturing and nature. Own it. You can't help you were born to racist parents who were raised in a white supremacist system. See, already I get mad just reading it because who is this lady? So, okay, wait. So, first of all, it's wrong, right? To judge minorities and color, okay, stop. It's wrong to judge black people and to put people like that into stereotypes, right? But is that not exactly what she is doing right now? By putting white people in this stereotype that, oh, well, you can't help it. You were born to racist parents. You were raised in a white supremacist system. Listen, lady, I'm not racist. I was not born into a racist family. My parents were not racist. So why don't you stop trying to tell everybody how you think that they are and just leave everybody alone? Stop trying to prove. You don't need to come and try to prove to me and put it in my head that I'm racist because you'll never convince me so. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Listen, if you got a problem with people and if you have a problem with white people, lady, which obviously you do, don't put that shit on everybody and don't put it in, oh, it's just a blanket coverage, all America, everybody in it is racist because it's bullshit. So anyway, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of this page. Let me know what you guys think because, I mean, I can't do it anymore. I can't listen to that. Okay. Don't go down the rabbit hole. I wonder if you guys saw this. It was a New York Times thing. New York Times, critical thinking isn't helping in the fight against misinformation. Critical thinking is now bad, the New York Times announced in a column on Thursday. Instead of looking at all sides of an issue and thinking critically about it for oneself, everyone should just look up stuff on Wikipedia and take whatever the biased leftists who run the site say as gospel, because investigating any topic too deeply is a waste of precious time. That is the argument Times columnist Charlie Warzel makes in his latest piece titled "Don't Go Down the Rabbit Hole." So they're already telling you, don't use your head. Don't use your head and think too hardly about these things. Don't go down a rabbit hole means don't go do your own research. Don't go look things up for yourself, because it's much, much easier if you just listen to what these people tell you to. If you just listen to what these people tell you is true, well, then they got a better chance of brainwashing you, and they got a better chance of being in control. They don't want you to use your brain. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to go, overthinking things, and they don't want you to go looking for things and researching things. They just want you to be a sheeple who just believes what they're told by the experts, by the news, by the people that they want you getting your information from. Listen up, dummies. Stop thinking for yourself. It's a waste of time. Just listen to what we say. Crazy. Crazy. All right, I'll read a little bit of this. Mr. Caulfield, a digital literacy expert at Washington State University, Vancouver, knows all too well that at this very moment, more people are fighting for the opportunity to lie to you than at perhaps any other point in human history. Well, don't get that mistaken. They've been lying to you forever. Misinformation rides the greased algorithm rails of powerful social media platforms and travels at velocities and in volumes that make it nearly impossible to stop. That alone makes information warfare an unfair fight for the average internet user. But Mr. Caulfield argues that the deck is stacked even further against us. That the way we're taught from a young age to evaluate and think critically about information is fundamentally flawed and out of step with the chaos of the current internet. Seriously? We're taught that in order to protect ourselves from bad information, we need to deeply engage with the stuff that washes up in front of us. Mr. Caulfield told me recently he suggested that the dominant mode of media literacy, if kids get taught any at all, is that you'll get imperfect information and then use reasoning to fix that somehow. But in reality, that strategy can completely backfire. In other words, resist the lure of rabbit holes, in part by reimagining media literacy for the internet hellscape we occupy. It's often counterproductive to engage directly with content from an unknown source, and people can be led astray by false information. Influenced by the research of Sam Weinberg, a professor at Stanford, and Sarah McGrew, an assistant professor at the University of Maryland, Mr. Caulfield argued that the best way to learn about a source of information is to leave it and look elsewhere, a concept called lateral reading. For instance, imagine you were to visit Stormfront, a white supremacist message board. See, here we go again. To try to understand racist claims in order to debunk them. Even if you see through the horrible rhetoric, at the end of the day, you gave that place however many minutes of your time. Mr. Caulfield said, even with good intentions, you run the risk of misunderstanding something because Stormfront users are way better at propaganda than you. You won't get less racist reading Stormfront critically, but you might be overloaded by information and overwhelmed. See, they're doing it. Stop, investigate the source. So, otherwise, in other words, if it's not their news, if it's not the mainstream media, the big players, if it's not the so-called experts on everything, then they're saying don't believe it. Don't believe it. Don't even put it in your brain, because they're trying to make you freaking dumb. They're trying to make you literally brainwashed sheeple who just believe everything they're told by the people, by the certain people that they want you to get your information from. It's bull. It's nonsense, and it's gonna make you. They want us dumb. That's the bottom line. They want you dumb. They don't want you to be able to think for yourself. Do not fall for that. Holy moly. I say go down as many rabbit holes as you can and learn as much as you can. And my thing, this is what I say to people. Okay, I'll take information I get from over here. I'll take information I get from over here. I will use my brain to think, figure things out. You know, I'll take information from both sides, do my own research on it, and then form my own opinion. Because that's the only way you can do it for you. That's the only way you're not being told either way what to believe. You figure it out for yourself. And that's what everybody should do. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, next thing. Okay, so in my last video, I showed you this this video where the guy put the snow into the fireplace, right? And it just sat there. And then I found this one. Okay, then I found this one. And this one is even crazier. So watch this, okay? There isn't I don't think they say anything on here. I don't think there's any volume, but let me just, okay. Check this out. Nano Technology in the snow, controlling the weather. So this guy puts a chunk of snow up there. Now watch what happens. Isn't that insane? Look at that thing. That came out of the snow once the snow melted. That's what was left. That is crazy, right? What is that? That is man, that's nuts, right? I think so. Set it up there. Took a piece of snow and set it up there. It goes down, it comes back, and look at that. That is so crazy to me. That came out of snow. That is not normal. You know what it reminds me of when it's flipping or like doing all that? You ever seen the movie Flubber from back in the day with Robin Williams? It kind of looks like that, but obviously that was green. But it's movements and stuff I'm saying. That is crazy that is in the snow. So if you want, you guys can go check that out. It's on BitChute. Nano Technology in the snow. And you thought weather was natural. That's crazy. That is. Six white voice actors who left their roles as animated characters of color. This year, several white voice actors from animated series have decided to forego. I heard from different places that they were fired. Some said they were let go. So I don't really know, but decided to forego their roles as characters of color in order for them to be recast, in some cases, to actors of color. Here are some examples of shows where this happened, from Big Mouth to The Simpsons. Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's it, but yeah. People who were white that voiced these colored characters either were terminated or had to give up their positions to actual people of color. I mean, I just don't think that because you're white, you should be losing your job because America now has a problem. I don't know. I think that's crazy, though. It just goes into everything that's happening. Okay. So check out this. Breathe Tech S3. It's a smart mask. There's nothing else like it. The world's first sustainably designed face mask to use respiration sensor technology. What does a smart mask do? It measured parameters. It measures your breaths per minute, your mask fit, your CO2 buildup in the mask. Isn't that funny, though, that that's there? And they want to tell you, oh, you don't breathe in your own carbon dioxide. But yeah, there's a freaking, it measures how much CO2 is built up in your mask. Automatically notifies the user via push notification to any mobile device, whether the user has forgotten the mask. Oh, you go to walk out of your house. Oh, you got a ding on your phone. Oh, you don't have your mask on. Go put your face diaper on. When to wash it and how to dispose of the mask responsibly. It's so crazy. The stuff that they come out with. And look, over here. Mask air is bad. Your mask air is bad. It means you're breathing in too much carbon dioxide. Crazy, though. Ugh. I can't even. Alright. Now they're even going after the Muppets. The Muppets have been around forever. My whole life. Disney admits its Muppet Show contained negative depictions of cultures. Disney's streaming platform, Disney Plus, updated one of its programs to include a warning that the program contains negative culture stereotypes. The LA Times reports that the Muppet Show will contain a content warning, reading that this program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. The show was created in 1976. Some scenes reportedly depict American singer Johnny Cash singing in front of a Confederate flag, a symbol that harkens to the U.S. history of legal and institutional slavery. Other scenes from The Muppet Show under scrutiny for racial insensitivity include content featured guests like Steve Martin, Cleo Lane, Spike Milligan, Debbie Harry, and Kenny Rogers. Other streaming platforms like HBO Go have faced the problem of hosting films and shows on their platform that are dated and reinforce racist stereotypes. In June 2020, HBO's online site decided to temporarily remove the classic film Gone with the Wind and reinstate it with a similar content warning. Oh my Lord. My grandma used to watch Gone with the Wind. I mean, really? Gone with the Wind is set in the southern U.S. during both an antebellum and Reconstruction era amid the Civil War. Its depictions of slavery and black Americans garnered intense criticism, particularly during the Black Lives Matter protests of summer 2020. Why are you going after movies that were made way, way back then? There's nothing you can, I mean, it's just so frustrating. So, yeah. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together. Disney Plus has taken similar steps prior to the Muppet Show edits, adding disclaimers to classic Disney films like Aladdin, The Jungle Book, Peter Pan. Wait a minute. How is Peter Pan racist? The Aristocats was a movie about cats. Seriously? Lady and the Tramp, Dumbo, and Swiss Family Robinson. Ugh. In deciding which films need a content warning, Disney consults with organizations including GLAAD, Define American, the African American Film Critics Association, and the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment. Literally everything we know is being changed. Everything. I just can't. What is happening is insane. You are what you are. You are who you are. There's nothing that's going to change that, you know? Mr. Potato Head brand goes gender neutral, dropping the Mr. title. In an effort to promote inclusivity, the iconic Mr. Potato Head brand is going gender neutral, dropping the Mr. title in favor of a more modern look. But the brand sparked confusion on social media when it made the announcement, and now fans are asking, are the characters Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head no more? Hasbro announced Thursday that it would be dropping the Mr. title from the brand's name to better reflect the full line. It said that an upcoming playset will not feature Mr. and Mrs. designations, allowing kids to create their own potato families with 2 moms or 2 dads, a celebration of the many faces of families. Potato Head has provided endless creative possibilities to our preschoolers for almost 70 years and will continue to do so. The possibilities to create your own families are endless with mixing and mashing all the parts and pieces. Okay, just that little section right there. The possibilities to create your own families are endless with mixing and mashing all the parts and pieces. So now, when your preschool kids, when your little babes are playing with these toys, there isn't a Mr. and a Mrs. anymore. So they can put this piece over here, trade out this piece with this piece, and this all goes into the propaganda and the agenda that they are pushing on kids. It's ridiculous. And for the families who are, let's say, old school, for the families who are old school, where there's a mom and a dad and the kids are not taught about, you know, where the kids are not taught about, I don't want to say the wrong word. Where in a old school household where the children are not taught that they could be different genders, like you're a boy, you're a boy, you're a girl, and that's that. If you're in a household like that, then these are offensive. These are offensive because then somebody has to explain to their child why this is the way that it is. And that's not okay. It is a parent's decision, not of toy companies. But later in the day, Hasbro clarified that the characters themselves will still feature the gendered titles, just less prominently. The brand itself will not. Hold that top. Your main spud, Mr. Potato Head, isn't going anywhere. The company tweeted following some confusion on social media. While it was announced today that the Potato Head brand name and logo are dropping the Mr., I am proud to confirm that Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head aren't going anywhere and will remain Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. But they won't. They won't be Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. Potato Head, they're just now Potato Heads. So no Mr., no Mrs., they can be whatever they want to be. Right? The toy first launched 70 years ago when kids had to supply their own actual potato to play with. In recent years, a number of brands have made an effort to be more inclusive, including Barbie and American Girl doll. I'm telling you guys, from the school from the educational system to the TV shows that they watch, to the toys now that they play with, to every single aspect of your child's life is being pushed by this freaking agenda that they want. It's just being all thrown in their faces. It's ridiculous. It is so crazy. Okay. This is the Heritage Foundation. I'm a former teacher. Here's how your children are getting indoctrinated by leftist ideology. It isn't just a matter of actively teaching that America and the West are evil. Suppression of wrong think is equally as important to the brainwashing process. The young adults who today gleefully tear down statues of the founding fathers were incubated in our very own schools. Conservatives must demand an end to the indoctrination of our youth or face a new American public taught since childhood that the country should not exist. Your children are being indoctrinated. The education system designed to teach them. I'm almost done. I'll be right out. Sorry. Your children are being indoctrinated. The education system designed to teach them how to think critically has been weaponized by the radical left to push an anti American agenda. As someone who has worked in education for 4 years, I have seen firsthand how your children are being ensnared by the left and their teachers. I worked with kids from ages 3 to 13 and saw the brainwashing that exists at all levels of education. The left uses a combination of propaganda and suppression to push kids into the ensnaring grip of socialism and anti-patriotism. First is the propaganda. Teachers will assign work instilling the idea that the pillars of Western civilization were evil and their memories deserve to be thrown in the trash. Here's an example. I was helping one of my elementary school students with a homework assignment about listing famous Britons throughout history. She already had some of the more obvious ones: Shakespeare, Princess Diana, Queen Elizabeth. Well, how about Winston Churchill? I recommended. Oh no, not him, she replied. He was a racist and didn't think women should have rights. He wasn't a good guy. I was floored. It clearly wasn't something she came up with on her own. She was just regurgitating propaganda her teacher had taught her. All sense of nuance and critical thinking about the man who saved Europe from the Nazis was gone. Churchill committed wrong think, so in the bin he goes. Another way the left propagandizes is through the normalization of its views and positions as non-political. The Black Lives Matter organization is a prime example of this. Many of my colleagues wore Black Lives Matter pins and apparel to school in blatant violation of school rules forbidding political statements on clothing. When I asked for a justification of the behavior, I was told it wasn't political to support the group, it was a matter of human rights. The children would see these pins and clothes and connect radical leftist groups with basic human dignity. How dare you question Black Lives Matter? I was taught this is a matter of human rights. But it isn't just a matter of actively teaching that America and the West are so evil. Suppression of wrong think is equally as important to the brainwashing process. The lessons I was allowed to teach also were censored. I was preparing a lesson on Thanksgiving involving pilgrims and American Indians with an activity centered on making paper teepees for arts and crafts. Cue the progressive panic. Other teachers at the school were incensed that a non-Indian was appropriating Native American culture for an activity. Of course, these teachers weren't Indians either. They just wanted to virtue signal. The whole thing culminated in a hilarious incident where my colleagues tracked down the one teacher on staff who was 1/64th Native American and asked her if it was cultural appropriation. In her esteemed authority, it most certainly was. The school administrators pulled me aside and promptly nixed the project. The suppression extends to American religious values as well. I would try to engage my students with folk stories from around the globe to teach them world history and other cultures. Story time went on without a hitch until I decided to tell stories from the Bible. Other teachers began to complain I was preaching Christian values to the children and attempting to convert them. Keep in mind, this wasn't a problem when I was sharing stories from the ancient cultures throughout history. Stories about ancient India and China were fine and encouraged as sharing unheard voices. After sharing the story of the Tower of Babel, I was told to switch back to non-Christian stories or face consequences. The young adults who today gleefully tear down statues of the Founding Fathers were incubated in our very own schools, groomed to burst from the education system and burn America down. The left argues the great men and women who built this nation are problematic and must be destroyed. Conservatives must demand an end to the indoctrination of our youth or face a new American public taught since childhood that the country should not exist. Crazy. But that's what I'm saying. They are being taught on every single level. And things that they should not be being taught. it's it's to me it's just crazy. I can't to me it's crazy. Okay. This I thought I wanted to share this. Disney spreading LGBT propaganda to preschool kids. I certainly don't envy parents the task of navigating. Well, this was written a couple years ago, but it totally fits in, and it just goes to show you how long this has been going on, and you didn't even realize it, okay? Every generation has, of course, required vigilance in monitoring what children are exposed to, but most generations haven't had to contend with long establishment names in professional children's programming actively undermining them. This week's latest front in the culture wars come from the Disney Junior cartoon Doc McStuffins, about a little girl who acts as a doctor for toys. That cute, imaginative premise sounds almost about as innocent as it can be, right? Well, it is, except that somebody decided this was the perfect setting to introduce small children to the subject of lesbian marriage and parenting. I kid you not. Here's a summary of what happened and why. I'm on my last thing and then I'll be out. In the episode entitled The Emergency Plan, a doll family with two mothers is separated from one another during an earthquake. Doc helps them reunite and make a plan for earthquakes. The moms are voiced by Wanda Sykes and Portia de Rossi, both openly gay women. Disney didn't just get anyone to voice these characters, they got actual members of the LGBT community. Sykes spoke to Disney Animation News about what this episode means to her family. With this episode, my kids see a family that looks like our family. She said, we're two moms, we have a boy and a girl, two kids. It's going to be very exciting for them to see that, to see our family represented. Naturally, the Christian family group 1 Million Moms had a decidedly different reaction. Controversial topics and lifestyle choices should be left up to parents to discuss, and Disney Junior should not introduce this to young children. Just because an issue may be legal or because some are choosing a lifestyle doesn't make it morally correct. Disney should stick to entertaining and providing family-friendly programming instead of pushing an agenda. As just one example of the real-world fallout of this sort of indoctrination, conservative commentator Matt Walsh writes that one mom told me she was forced to explain homosexuality to her 4-year-old after he viewed this episode. 4 years old. Why does any child have to be exposed to homosexuality that young? And where the hell does Disney get off overruling parents' judgment on when their children are ready to deal with sensitive, mature subjects that intersect with sexuality, morality, and religious beliefs? It's sure not necessary to foster compassion and combat bullying. Kids don't need to know about, let alone be taught to approve of, any and every habit, lifestyle, and difference just to learn that bullying is wrong. Simply teach them that there's never a good reason to be mean to somebody who is not hurting you. It's crazy, right? I mean, I don't have anything against, gay people. I don't. It does not bother me one bit. I think everybody has their right to make their own choices. But when you push that shit on my kids, then we have a problem. Because it's not your job. It's not anybody else's job to put that shit in my kid's head. Okay? And that's what pisses parents off. It's not, oh, we're against it. No, we're not. I don't care what you do with your own life. I don't care. But when it affects my kids, when it starts putting ideas in my kid's head, that's when I have a problem. But, that's why you don't let your kids watch TV. The freaking TVs they should all be destroyed. It's crazy, right? I mean, really, it's nuts. I just don't understand why everything, pain in the ass, why everything, whatever, this don't want to move. It's just everything is under attack right now. And whether it's your kids, whether it's, sorry, I'm trying to, okay, there. Jeez. So whether it's your children's minds being attacked, whether it's them being attacked for what they believe, whether that's them being attacked for their parents, who their parents are, what color their parents are, what color their skin is. It's all bullshit. And people need to, people just need to, not buy into this, not get sucked into the nonsense. And please don't, whatever you do, don't listen to that New York Times article. I mean, critical thinking is important. You got to be able to think for yourself. Don't just believe what you're told, But, okay, my kids keep coming in here. They need me, so I got to go out. So I'm going to end this now. But I hope you guys liked the video. Leave a thumbs up. Please share this video. And leave me any of your comments below. I like reading all your comments. Whether, they're against what I'm saying or for what I'm saying, it doesn't matter. I like different points of view. So let me know what you guys think. And if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notified when new videos come out. And yeah, just, be strong, use your head, try to protect your kids as much as you can from this nonsense. But until next time, stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe, and I will